Hey gang, Massad Ayoob here for Wilson Combat. We're at the company headquarters in Berryville, Arkansas. We're going to talk today about one of the more volatile discussions in the world of concealed carry, appendix carry. Now, we're going to talk about pros and cons, and that's unusual because usually you have an advocate telling you only the pros and someone in opposition telling you only the cons. Like anything else, it has strengths and weaknesses. If it didn't have strengths, it would not have gained the currency and the popularity that it has. So let's look at some of the advantages of appendix carry, seen here with a Wilson Combat SIG P365. Good news with it, it's easy to protect. If you think there might be a struggle for the gun or something like that, human nature is to bring the hands to the center like this. It's a very strong posture. It's literally instinctive. Those of us who are parents, if you ever tried to take something away from a little kid probably went, no, because it simply brings strength into the core. And a struggle for the gun is very handy. If someone has you in a bear hug from the front, then the hand can knife into here and access it when they might not have been able to get the arm all the way back here outside the encircling arms for a hip draw. It's reasonably accessible to the non-dominant hand, and it's God knows quick. The reason being, we'll normally start with our hands more toward the front of our body than anywhere else. A couple of years ago, I was in the shoot-offs at the Range Master Tactical Conference. We started holding an object here and then had to go for the concealed handgun. I was doing pretty good. I beat everybody I was up against until I got to Spencer Keepers, who's probably the godfather of the appendix carry holster. Nobody's making better ones today, and he does an excellent class on the topic. Well, at the start signal, I drew my pistol from concealment, and I was about to hear when I heard my opponent's first shot go off. And I remember thinking, this is not good. And it wasn't. Spencer Keeper smoked me. So I'll tell you right now, appendix carry is fast. For maximum speed, you've got to be using both hands. So it's a variation of the Hackathorn rip, developed by our colleague and fellow provider Ken Hackathorn many years ago. Downside is going to be the one hand only draw. And only a handful of people can do that as fast as they can knife the hand behind an open front garment. If this hand is otherwise occupied, this hand has got to come up to here, then peg the thumb, come down here, and begin the draw. And it's going to be, for one hand only, a little bit slower. So there's a balance there. Comfort factor, like anything else, you've got to get used to it. When you start carrying a gun for the first time, wherever it is, you're going to be acutely aware of it. The example I give is all of us at some time were a little boy or a little girl with their first wallet or purse. And for the first week or so, you felt like a wallet or purse with a small child attached. After a while, you became accustomed to its presence, and pretty soon you got to where when it wasn't there, you were acutely uncomfortably aware of that fact. And the same is true of the concealed handgun, no matter where it's placed. One thing you'll find, you and Spencer Keepers will be the first to tell you this, the belt needs to ride a little bit higher than it might have otherwise, particularly if the gun has any size to it. Otherwise, when you're seated, you're going to get a very uncomfortable situation down there below the belt. You definitely want some undergarment between you and the holstered pistol. Over the years, I found I could get away with a gun behind the hip, tucked in under an untucked shirt, against bare skin. Here, not so much. At the front of the body, as we bend like this, the gun is going to dig into you a whole lot more. So you definitely need some sort of a garment between you and the appendix carried pistol. There's going to be the psychological element. If the gun goes off here as it's being holstered, well, there's a whole lot of us who could probably afford to lose a little flesh off the gluteus maximus. None of us has anything up front that we want to lose. I am not one of those who bans appendix carry. I allow it at my school, but I require when the gun is holstered a particular protocol. I want the hips forward and the shoulders back. That's going to at least angle the projectile away from the genitalia and away from the femoral artery. I require the student to look down and watch the gun go back into the holster. We want to make sure that there's not a thread, there's not a loose key or something on the belt that's worked its way over or might get in the way of the trigger. And we want visual as well as tactile confirmation that this digit is not inside the trigger guard. So the whole string would look like this. If I see them holstered just like this once, they're going to go to strong side hip. There have been some pretty high-profile cases because of the horrific nature of the injury with the unintended discharge here. Remember that even if you're back here and the projectile misses, every appendix carry holster I've seen has been open bottom. And that muzzle blast coming out of there at high pressure can be devastating to soft tissue. There are those of us who figure we carry a gun to keep other people from pointing guns at that part of our body. We're not going to do that ourselves. And that's okay too. If you feel that your discomfort with this or any holster carry outweighs the advantages that it has, no one in the world is making you carry appendix. No one's making you carry it all unless it's part of your job. The choice is yours, but make it an informed choice. Appendix carry gives speed, properly done with a proper garment, which should be loose enough to give you a grasp here and to allow this hand to come up and clear and then peg the thumb and come down onto the gun. It can be very, very fast. It can, with experience, be adequately comfortable. I'm going to recommend that you check out the appendix carry videos here on Wilson Combat from Mike Seeklander. He's a world champion. He is ungodly fast and skillful at that, and there's no one better to learn from. The choice is yours. Make an informed decision. We at Wilson Combat are all about that. We'll look forward to seeing you back and look forward to hearing your comments, because your comments are what drive tomorrow's content. Take care.